What up? What up? What up? How y'all doing today? Hold on 1 second. I'm just trying to get trying to, you know what I mean, trying to let the world know we live real quick. Just give me half a second. I was trying to let the world know we live. What's word this is? What I'm looking for? All right. What's good, y'all? How y'all doing? Welcome to Hawks Hoops. Welcome to another episode of Hawks Hoops. Cam, what's good, my boy? How you doing tonight? Let me move this over here. Let me grab one thing real quick. Forgot my iPad. And we're gonna go ahead and get this show started. It's been a minute, was very busy. It's all good, man. It's all good. Happy to have you. Happy to have you. 30, what's good, man? I've been doing good. I've been doing real good. I've been enjoying these finals. I've been enjoying basketball. Life's been good. Really no real crazy complaints, to be honest with you. Like, I just been vibing. As crazy or as anticlimactic as that sounds, I really just been vibing. I'm trying to get situated so I can put the chat in front of me. As you can see, we got a new setup. We got a new orientation of where I put the camera in my little studio room. Cause I wanted to do something a little different, get myself some more options. And I wanted to use a different lens. I like this look a whole lot better. So I just think it looks a lot cleaner. And I'm also using one of my favorite lenses. So I think it just looks a little bit better as well. Like the production quality is a little higher. I just gotta get used to my new screen orientations. Carrick, what's good, man? How y'all doing? But yeah, I'm doing good. Looking forward to talking about these finals, man. I've really been enjoying this series so far. I've been enjoying the playoffs in general. And it's crazy to me that it's about to be game 3 of the finals. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I ain't gonna try to hold y'all till 9. Cause you know what I mean? I wanna watch the game myself. I'm gonna hop on the party chat with my boys on Xbox and probably watch the game with them. I thought about doing like a live watch party, but I don't think we're doing that tonight. I'm gonna keep it a being with y'all. But we got some stuff to talk about. I'm a Dub fan, so you know. Warriors in 6. Hey, 30. That's what I had at the beginning of this series. I said Warriors in 6 from the beginning, and I'll be honest, I'm sticking with it based on what I've seen so far. Ninja, what's good, man? Thanks for pulling up to the stream. Waiting for the next Q&A. I'm gonna try to record the next Q&A. I went through today and I've seen a lot of good stuff in there that I want to react to. Some stuff made me chuckle, so I didn't want to read too much so I can get my real reaction on camera. But I'm gonna try to maybe Friday night. I'm busy. I'm gonna watch the game with my boys Friday night. Saturday I'm helping one of my boys move. Maybe Sunday I'll record it. So maybe Sunday I'll record it. It might come out Monday. It might come out late Sunday. I'll let y'all know on the Discord. I'll keep you posted. I gotta think about you did write an essay, Ninja, and I gotta give some thought to that to be able to give you a reasonable response, because you made some solid points. I want to be able to give you a reasonable response, so that I'm gonna have to take my time on that one. All right, y'all. I saw the essay but didn't read it yet. I'm mad we're calling it an essay. Hey, if you watching this live or you on the rewatch gang and you don't know what essay we're talking about in the chat, join the Discord. You know what I mean? Because we got a Discord where we the Discord been active lately. Racket, what's good, man? Thanks for pulling up to the stream. All right, I got my water. I said my what's up. We got an intro real quick. Music sound all right. The music level sounds solid. We haven't had the music probably like 10 episodes. We had it in the beginning. It was messing up my streams. I found a way to do it in a way that doesn't seem like it's going to hinder the streams that much. And so far I can tell the stream health looks good. Just to make sure, you know, I'm trying to make sure the volume is all right. I did some testing earlier today, but if the music's too loud, too low, let me know. All right, y'all. I'm excited. Game 3's tonight at 9 o'clock. Right now we have a 1-1 tied series. Hey, this score's lit. That's what I like to hear. Right now we have a 1-1 tied series. Right. Boston won game 1. Warriors won game 2. I have some thoughts. I kind of broke them down based off teams. I got some player thoughts. I got some overall team thoughts of what I saw these first couple of games and what I'm looking forward to seeing as we continue on. Like I said, I ain't gonna try to keep y'all here all night. So let's go ahead and hop into it. We're gonna talk about Boston first. So if you didn't know, Boston won game one. They had a great comeback to win. The Warriors were leading most of that game. And then Boston came in that second half, that fourth quarter, really took the game over and was able to do something. A couple of things I noticed, and this is game one and game two kind of mixed up in these thoughts, right? The Robert Williams injury is going to be huge. Really curious to see what type of version we're going to get of Robert Williams. I thought in game two, he already looked a little hobbled, and then Marcus Smart falls on him, making it even worse. And I get it. When I rewatched the play, it wasn't nothing intentional. It was really just the wrong place, wrong time situation. It's just really, really unfortunate play. I'm happy it was nothing serious. Serge, what's good, man? Thanks for pulling up to the stream. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, man. I'm hoping it's nothing serious. Ime Udoka, head coach of the Boston Celtics, said after the game that it's nothing serious. Just basically that he didn't continue to play after that because they're just being cautious. They're being cautious out of an abundance of caution. They didn't want to play and make the injury worse. I'm very curious to see if he plays tonight, and if he does play, how well he looks. Because one of the points of emphasis we're going to talk to a little bit later is points in the paint. And he's a big part of that defensively for the Boston Celtics in stopping the Warriors score in the paint. So coach says he's fine. Even if he is fine in terms of not injured, I don't think he's going to look like the Robert Williams that we all know and love. The all defensive team Robert Williams, the defensive player of the year Robert Williams. It sucks. I wish he was fully healthy, but he's just simply not, and that's just the name of the game, and we have to keep it pushing. What the Boston Celtics just have to adapt. Whether that's Al Horford playing better defensively, whether that's Grant Williams playing better defensively, whether that's just as a team making sure they pay attention to the paint a little bit more. If Robert Williams isn't able to play or isn't able to be himself, it's a lot of ifs in there, right? Next guy I want to talk about real quick is Jaylen Brown, right? Jaylen Brown in game one. Had a really, really solid game in game one. He was 10 for 23. He was 2 for 8 from the three-point line. Not amazing. That's one thing I did want to look up real quick. Not amazing. And then in game two, he was 5 for 17, 3 for 9. Jaylen Brown, my biggest thing for him is he's got to shoot the three ball better. He's a career, that's what I wanted to look up. This season, he's a 35% three-point shooter. For his career, he's a 37% three-point shooter. So he's solid. Like, he's a solid three-point shooter. And the reason I say he needs to be able to knock down some of these shots, because there was a lot of instances where I saw where he was missing some wide open threes, and Draymond was the man on him, the man guarding him. And Draymond is able to get away with basically playing free safety and impacting a lot of dribble drives, playing a lot of great help defense, swiping at the ball on drives, things like that, because Jaylen Brown isn't making him pay by knocking down some of these open threes. So Jaylen Brown could be a little bit more consistent, knock down some of these threes at a little bit of a better clip. His first, like that 2 for 8 in game one isn't amazing. The 3 for 9 is okay, 33%, I'll take it, but the 25% in game one is just not, it's not cutting it to me. I think he can do a little bit better. I'd like to see him do a little bit better. And game two, that's mainly the game I saw a ton of wide open missed threes. What are your thoughts on people saying that Jordan Poole plays to impress girls? 30, we gonna talk about that. He's on my list. That's funny though. I saw a lot of people saying that his play style does look like that sometimes. If you ever in an open gym and there's women in the gym, it's gonna be certain guys that look like Jordan Poole in terms of their play style. It was funny to me. For me, the biggest thing for Jaylen Brown, especially in game two, he's got to do his best to stay out of foul trouble. Now I get it. With the refs, I'll say leaning towards the Warriors a little bit in some of the calls in game two. Yeah, I'll admit that. There's no doubt in my mind that the Warriors got better calls than the Boston Celtics in game two, because they got Jaylen Brown in foul trouble early, had 2 fouls in the first quarter very, very, very quickly. And that sucks for the Boston Celtics because he was rolling. That first quarter in game two, he was rolling. He was looking absolutely amazing. He gets into foul trouble, and then he didn't look like himself coming back. He didn't necessarily have the rhythm he had in the first quarter throughout the rest of the game because he was in foul trouble. Rage, what's good, man? Thanks. You like the new setup? Thanks. I like it too. I'm happy with this. I think we're gonna rock with this for a little while. Jaylen Brown has to stay out of foul trouble, which I think he will. I just think in game 2, there was I don't want to call it a bad officiating game. We're going to talk about what should have been the double tech in my mind. I just think at times there were calls that either didn't need to be made, shouldn't have been made. I can think of a time where I want to say it was Jaylen Brown defending. It was either Jaylen Brown defending or Jaylen Brown going for the layup, and they called a foul, and there was absolutely no contact whatsoever. People a couple days later said there was contact with the legs. You can make that argument if you want. I wish I had the clip. Wish I put it up. The thought just came to mind. Jaylen Brown, he's been playing solid. I just want to be a little more overall. I just want him to be a little more consistent from the beyond the 3-point line, because that'll force Draymond Green. I saw Wiggins do it a little bit to just honor his shot a little bit more. I just want the Warriors defense to have to honor his shot a little bit more. Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum. I don't think I've seen a more drastic swap between game 1 and game 2 than what we saw in Jason Tatum so far this series. Game 1, he was absolutely horrible. 3 for 17 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3. He had 12 points. Now, granted, the passing was great. The passing was great in game 1. He had 13 assists. He was doing a lot of driving and kicking, especially in the second half. Once he realized that shot wasn't going, once he realized he was not being able to score that game, he was able to get a lot of his teammates involved, get a lot of people open, like the Derek Whites, the Al Horfords, Payton Pritchards. He was hitting some of those guys. He hit Jaylen Brown for a couple. He was able to hit a lot of these guys open, and they were knocking down shots. They were doing what they needed to do to help their superstar when he's having a bad game. And then in the game 2, he had a better game. He had a solid game. And my biggest thing for Jason Tatum is just consistency. He's just got to be consistent. The Celtics can't afford to have him to have another game like he had in game 1, because I'm gonna tell you right now, Al Horford's not going crazy from 3 again. You're not going to see a crazy Derek White game again. You're not going to see those two guys go crazy. Marcus Smart, you might see another 19-20 point game from Marcus Smart sometime this series. I think he's capable of it. But I don't think you're going to see a crazy game from Derek White and Al Horford again this series. Al Horford might surprise you. He surprised us before when he dropped. He had that 30-point game either against the Boston Celtics, or excuse me, against the Nets or the Bucks. I can't remember off the top of my head. So we've seen him go crazy in these playoffs. I just don't know if we're going to see it again. Let me turn this music down a little bit on my side. Tatum, I have all caps. Consistent scoring. Consistent, efficient scoring. I loved the passing I saw a lot of him in game 1, because for me, it felt like almost a little bit of validation, because I remember saying back in October, back in November, I feel like a broken record, but I got to give myself a pat on the back. When everybody was saying the Boston Celtics need to break those two guys up, I just kept saying they need to pass the ball more. I said Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown need to step up their playmaking. They needed a playmaking point guard. I don't know if he got that a ton in Marcus Smart, but he's a great defensive point guard, and he does a little bit of playmaking and shot making. But the playmaking that Jason Tatum has evolved and has shown off this series, especially in game 1 of this season so far, game 1 just felt like a validation for me. It was like, I told y'all, he can play make, he needs to do it, and he did it on the biggest stage, and his team was able to get a win out of it. All right, now let's talk about some of the other guys. We talked about the big names, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I think those guys are going to more or less kind of sort of be consistent in what we've seen out of them so far in game 1 and 2. Are they capable of blowing up for a 30-40 point game, both of them? Yes, 100%. Yes, they are. But the Warriors defense is so good, I think it's going to be harder for them to blow up like that. I think the Warriors defense is guarding them in a way that's not going to allow them to have a crazy game. They're going to get theirs. Don't get me wrong. Please don't misinterpret that. They're going to get theirs. You know, they're going to have their 25 plus on a regular basis. But I'm talking about the 35 pluses, the 40 point games. The Warriors are doing their best not to allow that to happen for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Now, Derek White, Al Horford, I even wrote down Payton Pritchard, Marcus Smart. These are the guys who, especially in these next 2 home games, the Celtics need them to step up. The Celtics need them to they don't need to do what they did game 1, right? I don't know if you're going to get the game you got from Al Horford in game 1. I don't think you're going to get the game you got from Derek White game 1, because Al Horford game 1 was 6 for 8 from 3. He had 26 points. Marcus Smart had 18 points. He was 4 for 7 from 3. Derek White had 21 points. He was 5 for 8 from 3. I don't know if you're going to get that type of game out of those guys again. Marcus Smart easily, I think, give you another 18. And I think, honestly, they're going to need that from him, especially in these home games. Because if I'm the Boston Celtics, you did what you were supposed to do. You won a game in the Bay Area. You won in the big game in the Bay Area. You now have home court advantage. You have the ability to win both at home. Do I think they're going to win both at home? No, but I'm saying that's the type of mindset you have to be in going into these games if you're Boston. So Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, you guys have some good games off the bench. I think you're capable of it. I'd love to see like a 15-point game from Derek White on some solid efficiency. I'd love to see like a 10-point game from Peyton Pritchard on some solid efficiency. I'd love to see Grant Williams drop in like 8, something like, I'm not asking for a lot from these guys. I'm not asking for something uncharacteristic from these guys. But at the same time, I'm saying these guys can't have a game like they had in game 2. When you had Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have better games, but then Al Horford has 2 points. Marcus Smart has 2 points. Derek White has 12, but on some not so great efficiency. He went 4 for 13. They can't afford that type of game from their other guys. Peyton Pritchard can't go 0 for 3 from 3 like he did in game 2. And if they want to win, especially at home, Marcus Smart can't have 2 points, 1 for 6 from the field. That's not winning basketball. Now, do I think that's what's going to happen in Boston? Do I think those other guys are capable of playing better in Boston? Yeah, sure. I say this all the time. We know this. You know this. Everyone knows this. Role players play better at home. So Boston, you're home. Role players, let's step up and see what you can do. So let's talk about the Warriors real quick. And then I got some things I want to say about both teams. So on the Warriors side of things, one of the first things I noticed, and one of the first things I was trying to keep an eye on was, I just knew Boston was going to try to force Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown into a lot of pick and rolls attacking Steph Curry, trying to get a lot of switches to go just to attack Steph Curry. And that's no disrespect to Steph. His defense has gotten better since he first came into the league. But honestly, he's still probably the worst defender on the floor at almost all times. That's no disrespect. That's just facts. So if you're the other team, you're going to try to get the worst defender to guard your best guys. And they have the size advantage being like 6'7", 6'8", Steph 6'3". So that's the matchup you want if you're Boston. But the Warriors did an amazing job and have done an amazing job, continue to do an amazing job at not forcing the switch. Like, they're not just automatically switching and letting Steph just be on an island. I saw plenty of times when it was either Draymond or Wiggins fighting over these screens, Steph doing his best attempt to hedge, I'll give him that, and then fighting over these screens and getting back and allowing Steph to go back to his man. And sometimes does he still get caught up in the pick and roll, that they still go at him, or still going to try to attack him? Sure. But I wanted to give Steve Kerr and the Warriors defense some props and some flowers with their ability to do their best to not let Steph get abused defensively. Now that out the way, let's talk about Steph, right? Steph's having a really, really great series. So far in this series, he's averaging 31 points, 45% from the field, 46% from 3. That's on 13 attempts, making six threes a game. He's having a really, really solid series so far. In game 2, he only had to play 30 minutes because it was already a blowout at that point. I think he wants it. He looks motivated. He looks locked in. He does a lot offensively for the Warriors, as we all know. And one thing I noticed, and we're going to talk about it more when we talk about points in the paint, but one thing I noticed about Steph that doesn't get talked about a lot is I was just going back and rewatching this game, especially in game 2. I noticed a lot of moments. We don't really talk about Steph's ability to finish at the rim or Steph's ability to drive your lat. I know because we love his shooting so much. He's such a great shooter. I feel like unanimously call him the greatest shooter of all time. But I just was noticing that as I was watching the game and wanting to guess. I guess you could say give him a shout out, give him some flowers for it. But his ability to finish out the rim is on an elite level with both hands, shooting the floaters over bigs, absorber contact from bigs, because he's a smaller guy. And I think that opens up so much of his three-point game and so much of his mid-range game, because guards who are defending him know he can get to the rim and finish with the trees, basically. For Klay Thompson, one of the things I have written down is shot selection. Shot selection, shot selection, shot selection, shot selections. Klay Thompson, so far in these first 2 games, still feels like how he did, or at least looks like how he did when he first came back to the NBA, when he first came back from his injury. And remember them first couple of games where it felt like he was shooting a lot of mid-range fades, a lot of pull-up jumpers, a lot of the Warriors just saying, hey, Klay, get your shots up, figure it out. But now it's like, okay, Clay, we need you to hit these shots. We need you to make smarter decisions with the basketball. And it's a lot of times where I feel like he's forcing up some really, really, really tough shots. Tough shots that, I mean, maybe my memory is a little fuzzy, but I don't even remember him taking these shots 2 years ago. I'm not saying he wasn't capable of it. I remember there were times where the Warriors would post him up on a smaller shooting guard or a smaller guard. And he does have a little bit of post game, especially that post fadeaway. But it feels like right now it's just a lot of poorly taken shots, a lot of highly contested shots, a lot of poor shot selection. And I don't think he needs to do that. I think it would benefit him a lot to just take smarter shots. Just take smarter shots, Clay. They left him in the fourth quarter at the point where it was basically a blowout. They left him in the fourth quarter to try to let him get some sort of rhythm, which I get. He clearly needs to find some sort of rhythm. I hope he does find it. I think the Warriors are going to need a game out of Clay. I think there's going to be a moment. I think there's going to be a quarter. I think there's going to be some sort of moment in time where the Warriors need Game 6 Clay to step up. And I hope he can for them. Just to give you some numbers, I'm a numbers guy. He was 3 for 14 in game 1, 4 for 19 in game 2. He didn't make his first three-pointer in game 2 until the third quarter. He only had 1 field goal in the first half of game 2. And it was just a lot of mid-range fades, a lot of leaning jumpers, and he looks like he's still rusty. His shot selection makes it look like he's rusty. I don't know if it's a mental thing. I don't know if it's a shooting touch thing. Because it's not like he's missing. It's a couple of wide open ones, I'll give it to you, that he missed. But it's not even like he's missing a whole lot of wide open ones. He's missing because he's taking bad shots, in my opinion. Kerwick says, I think if DeMar DeRozan was on the Boston Celtics, he would wear a green uniform. What, Kerwick? I mean, I don't want to say obviously, but obviously. Reckit says, sell frauds. They're not frauds. They're just, I think they're really, really good. I just have the Warriors in 6, but I really think Boston has an opportunity to win this series. I just think the Boston Celtics have to play perfect to win this series. I don't know if the Warriors have to play perfect. I just think the Warriors are a better team. All right. For Draymond, basically, I wrote down, hey, stop shooting, bro. Just stop shooting. I don't know what you were doing in game 1. I literally went back and rewatched all of his shot attempts. There was a lot of just ugly drives to the basket. A lot of drives to the basket, and then you're running a Time Lord, you're running an Al Horford, and you're like, oh snap, let me throw something at the rim, and it's a bad take. Or let me pull up for this mid-range jumper. Well, when is Draymond Green pulling up for mid-range jumpers? He shot a ton of threes, and in game 2, he looked better out there. You know why? Because he didn't shoot as much. He was passing the ball a lot. He only really shot when he felt like he had a good look. In game 1, he was wilding in game 1. All right, Jordan Poole. Who said that earlier? What are your thoughts on Jordan Poole? People saying that Jordan Poole plays to impress the girls. It's funny that people say that. I've been seeing the memes. It's actually been making me laugh a lot. My biggest thing for Jordan Poole is, so he didn't play well in game 1. He was 2 for 7, 1 for 5 from 3. He had 9 points. Game 2, I saw a lot of people praising him. A lot of people saying he had a better game. He was 17 points. He was 6 for 14, 5 for 9 from 3. If you just look at the box score, yeah, Jordan Poole had a solid game. Great, 6-man type game. But when you look at the game, because I won't say I rewatched the whole game, but I rewatched a lot of it. When the game was close, Jordan Poole wasn't doing nothing. In the first half, Jordan Poole was 1 for 5. He had 3 points in the first half. When the game was close, when the Warriors were only up 2, he ain't have nothing. And then he scored 14 of his 17 points in the second half. And you could say, all right, well, Hawk, maybe, he did that when they needed him to. No, he didn't start scoring until they were already up 20, 25 points. So for me, Jordan Poole, yeah, did you on paper have a better game in game 2? Yeah, on paper. But in the time that mattered, you wasn't doing nothing for your team. You was just out there vibing. You was out there doing cardio. Because no offense to Jordan Poole, but it's not like he's an amazing defender. We saw Jaylen Brown blow by him, and Steph was looking like, what are you doing, bro? So for me, the Warriors need Jordan Poole to play better. The Warriors are going to need either Jordan Poole or Klay Thompson. One of those two guys got to play better alongside Steph. Be able to hit some jumpers, hit some shots, knock some shots down when it matters, when the game is actually close. I don't want to see Jordan Poole celebrating, and I don't want to see all these highlights of Jordan Poole hitting these crazy threes. Y'all up 25. I don't care if you hit a shot from the logo. At that point, the game was decided. The game was decided. My biggest thing for Jordan Poole is, can he play well in a close game? We haven't seen that yet for the Warriors, at least in the finals. I'm saying we haven't seen that yet in game 1 or game 2. When the games were close, when the games mattered the most, he didn't play well. Wiggins, I just like what I'm seeing from Wiggins, man. I like what I've been seeing from Wiggins a lot. His defense is solid. His offense has been solid. He wasn't as efficient as he was in game 2 as he was in game 1, but he's out there doing what the Warriors need him to do. I'm just happy for Andrew Wiggins. To keep it a bean, I'm just really, really happy for him. I think he's, and I've said this before, finally playing in a situation that matters. He's finally playing in a system where he doesn't have to be the #1 guy, because honestly, his numbers basically look his numbers are very similar this season to what they were when the Timberwolves were trying to have him be the #1 guy alongside Cat. He's not a #1 guy, but he's a great #3, #4 guy. He's been great. So some of the things I'm looking forward to in game 3, and as we continue on in this series, how well can the other guys play at home? We talked about this already, but how well can Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, Al Horford, even Jordan Poole, how well can these guys play at home in games that matter? Because I think in both instances, in both cases, especially on Boston's side, they're going to need their other guys to play well at home. I think Andrew Wiggins will one day go down as a player who helped Steph win a championship, Kerrick said. I think you're right. Like, if the Warriors win, I don't think, like, Andrew Wiggins is going to be one of the names we remember as a part of this title run for sure. Because he got so much praise going into it this year. He was an All-Star this year, All-Star starter this year, even though it was a little controversial. He was one of the guys who, to me, really had an impact. The box score impact might not be crazy, but to me, on the floor, especially defensively, and just making the right type of plays for the Warriors, he had a really, really solid impact on this Warriors team this year. So the first piece I'm talking, like I said, was how well can the other guys play at home? They need to play well at home. How well will they play on the road? I'm really looking forward to seeing the Warriors bench on the road. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing Jordan Poole on the road. I want him to have a good game. The Warriors, I think, are going to need him to have a good game, especially in Boston, because I expect Boston's guys to play better at home. Steph is going to be Steph. I think we can basically at this point expect at least a 30-point series average from Steph. I think honestly, I think he can go up from there a little bit, but I don't see it dropping down much. I think he's going to do him. He's going to be efficient, and he's going to get about 30 a game. I love to see if Tatum and Brown can stay consistent and have a good game together. So far in these playoff series, it feels like either Tatum has a 40 night and Brown might not play that great, or Brown has a 40 night and Tatum's not playing that great, or one of them goes for like 27 on some somewhat good efficiency. One of them has 22 on some subpar efficiency. I'd love to see both of them have like 25 on solid efficiency on the same game, on the same night. And I get it, to an extent, it's going to be a hard ask, because that just mentally, I feel like as a player sometimes, and I see it, when one of them is hot, they feed him the ball, which I understand, you feed the hot hand, but I just would like to see a game where both of them are the hot hand together. And then one of the biggest things that, I'll be honest, I didn't anticipate going into this series, because we talked so much about the Warriors 3-point shooting and how great of a 3-point shooting team the Warriors are. But to me, the biggest takeaway for me, one of the biggest takeaways was simply, and it sounds so simple, but points in the paint. Points in the paint have been a huge back and forth so far this series. And I think part of that has to do with Robert Williams and his injury, him not playing a lot of game 2, because in game 1, Boston outscored 34-26 in the paint. They outscored the Warriors 34-26 in the paint. But in game 2, the Warriors outscored Boston in the paint 40-24. 40 points in the paint is way too much to be giving up. I get it. You scored 34 in the paint the game before, but 40-24 is a big paint difference gap. And it's just really interesting to me because when you look at the box score, when you watch these games, I thought the three ball was going to play a big emphasis. Like I just felt like going into it, the team that shoots better three is going to be the team that wins these games. And that's not been the case so far. The team who scores more in the paint is the team that wins these games. The Warriors and the Boston Celtics have shot the same from three. Percentages might not necessarily be the same, but the amount of threes they're making and taking are really comparable. In game 2, they both made 15 threes. In game 1, Boston made 21, the Warriors made 19. So the 3-point shot is having an impact when you talk about percentages and things like that. But the amount of makes are basically negligible. The big difference is points in the paint. Another big piece and point of emphasis is turnovers. We said going into the series, these teams turn the ball over a lot. They're going to have to find a way to shrink and slow down some of these turnovers. In games they win, they do that. In games they lose, they're not doing that. So in game 1, when Boston won, they still gave up 12 turnovers, but only gave up 10 points off those turnovers. In game 1, Golden State gave up 14 turnovers and 21 points on those turnovers. Game 2, Boston gave up 18 turnovers, 33 points off of turnovers. That's the game. Like, it's interesting to me. We have all these conversations about the scoring, about these players, but when it comes down to who wins these games, it's really just some really like simple stuff, like high school level stuff. Take care of the ball, don't turn the ball over, get back on defense to stop fast breaks, and score the easiest shot in basketball, which is a layup, scoring the paint. It's coming down to some really simple, really basic stuff, which is interesting to me as an NBA fan, that we talk about like the grandeur of NBA, these really elite offenses, these really just how much the three-point shot has evolved. Actually, speaking of how much the three-point shot has evolved, if you don't know who Jimmy High Roller is, highly suggest his content if you're an NBA fan. He recently put out I don't watch all his videos, I'll admit that, but he recently put out a video talking about the impact of the three-point shot, the evolution of the three-point shot, and basically tackled the argument that a lot of people have been making lately that the three-point shot is too easy. The three-point line needs to be pushed back. Everybody's shooting threes. The three-point shot has ruined basketball. I hear these conversations on a daily basis. He put out a great video really breaking it down of how much, yes, players have gotten better at the three-point shot, but that's allowed them to take more twos. And at this point in time, the two-point shot is worth more than the three-point shot. And Cam, yes, that video is a masterpiece. I've probably seen it about 3 times. I'll probably low-key make a TikTok about it, at least referencing it, because it's that much good of a video. And I think a lot of people should watch it because it really, I think, puts things into a different perspective, and a perspective that we're seeing in this series. We talk so much about the three-point shot, how important the three-point shot is, but the winners of these series is coming down to who can score more in the paint, who can turn over the ball less, who can stop fast breaks. Turning into real simple stuff. And I think for years, or at least these last couple of years, so many people have literally said Steph Curry's ruined basketball with a three-point shot, that I don't know. I just think it's got out of hand a little bit. And I think that was a really, really good video. And the points in that video, you can literally see in this series when you watch it, when you're paying attention to the points in the paint. Shout out to Jimmy High Roller, man. That's goals. The team he works with is crazy. That video was beautiful. All right. I told y'all I wasn't gonna keep you long. We got a couple more things to go over. We're gonna get out of here. You know what I mean? I gotta get ready for the game. I'm trying to take a shower so I can watch this game. 9 o'clock tip-off time. Y'all see the title of the video, right? Steph Curry, Finals MVP. If you ask me right now, yes, he is leading in Finals MVP. He's playing great. He so far hasn't had a stinker game. We saw Jason Tatum have his stinker. Jaylen Brown, I don't want to say necessarily had a stinker. He just had an inefficient second half in game 2. But the NBA, let me pull this up, just recently released their, let me make sure I got this right. Is that right? Boop. The NBA recently, and I mean, when is this? June 7th. So just yesterday, released their NBA Finals MVP ladder. This comes out, this was after game 2. I saw this as a tweet and I was like, no way, you gotta be trolling. I just the tweets. I just knew the tweet had to be trolling. There was no way this was the actual ladder. This is NBA.com's NBA Finals MVP ladder. Walk with me here. Number 1, Steph Curry. Totally understandable. I get that. Like I said, if the finals is over right now, to me, Steph would be finals MVP. Makes sense. Number 2 was Jordan Poole. Final stats, 13 points, 2 rebounds, 2.5 assists. This makes absolutely no sense to me. And some of the reasons is it was crazy to me. We're not even gonna look at number 3. We're gonna talk about that in a second. But some of the reasons that made no sense to me was they're talking about he was 2 for 7 in game 1 for 5, game 1. Game 2, he mounted a major comeback, returning for the deadly instant offensive threat that we've been accustomed to while showcasing his incredible range, talking about the crazy 2 long threes that he hit at the end of the third quarter. Poole scored 14 of his 17 points in the second half, becoming the youngest player, 22, to hit 5 threes in a finals game. The way they gassed this up, you would think the game was close. You would have thought these were some really crucial, important minutes. And this is no disrespect to Jordan Poole. Like, I'm not saying he's a scrub. I'm not trying to say he's not a good basketball player, but he is not number 2 on the MVP ladder, y'all. What is this? Because also, like we just documented, once again, no hate. I just would like to see Jordan Poole have a big game, or at least an efficient game in minutes that matter. When you're up 30, it's real easy to make some of these threes as opposed to being down 2. And, you know, it's a close game, back and forth, chippy game. Number 3 on this ladder is Kevon Looney, bro. Why is he here? Why is he here? I have no explanation for it. They're talking about, so this is what they're talking about. They're talking about them outscoring them in the paint. Looney contributed with 12 points. He was 6 for 6. Yes. 7 rebounds. Ooh. And once again, this is not to take anything away from Looney. I like him. We were literally just talking about him the other day. Of me and my boys were on Xbox talking about Looney, and we're like, hey, we were talking about Warriors future paying people extensions. We were like, does Looney have to get paid? I'm like, I mean, Looney's solid, but you ain't gonna pay him nothing crazy. You can find other bigs that do what Looney does. Like, for real, you really can. So for him to be here on the ladder at all is a wild to me. But the fact that he's 3rd above any Celtics players so far, wild. And then it goes into Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown at number 4 and number 5. I'm not even gonna go into crazy in depth about them. To me, it should be Steph, either Tatum or Brown. However, to me, they're having very comparable series so far. Like, literally, even if you look at the numbers, 26 and 4 from Brown, 25 and 8 from Tatum. The games have been very similar. Now, I will say Tatum's game 1 was a stinker. Scoring wise, it was a stinker. Passing, he put on a showcase. He put on a playmaking showcase. Scoring wise, absolute stinker. It should be Curry, to me, Brown, then Tatum. I don't even care who you put for 3 and 4, for 4 and 5, to be honest with you. It's a 3-man race, not a 5-man race. I don't really think we even need a 4 and 5 spot in the MVP ladder. But I woke up this morning, saw Kevon Looney's name, I saw Jordan Poole's name, and I was flabbergasted. Like, I'd put Al Horford on this list before I put Kevin Looney. Like, for real. Like, I feel like we trolling. Who wrote this? Michael Wright. I don't know, Michael. I might not be reading one of your articles. All right. I don't want to get harped up on too much on that, bro. Cam, yes, it's got to be a joke. That's the only explanation I got. It's definitely got to be a joke. It's clearly a joke. So I'm looking forward to these finals. I'm looking forward to the rest of these finals, honestly. So next episode will be next Wednesday, right? I'm trying to think. Well, the finals might be over by the next time we go live. We might, depending on how the games go, depending on how it's looking, we might have to do a little impromptu live like we did back when Sixers got James Harden. What a day that was. Because there's game 4 on Friday. Game 5 is on Monday. All right, game 6 is on Thursday. I think it'll go at least till 6, so we'll have another live before it's over and all said and done. A couple of other things I wanted to touch on real quick before we head up out of here. I didn't watch all of Darvin Ham's press. Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham. That's going to be tough for me to say this upcoming season. Lakers hired him. Also picked up Rasheed Wallace, their one of his assistants. He let go of some of Frank Vogel's assistants. You know, just making some minor moves. I liked what he said. I made a TikTok about it, so I'm not going to go on crazy in depth. But I like what he said in his press conference. I'll admit I didn't listen to the whole thing. But one caveat is coaches are supposed to come in saying the right things in a press conference. You know, when you're first introduced to a team, you're supposed to come in here saying the right things. Totally understandable. It doesn't take rocket science to understand what the Lakers need. You know what I'm saying? For me, it's going to take time for us to really see if the Lakers are buying into his system. If the players buy into his systems, if he can get Russ to play defense like he said, if they can get out up and down and run a little bit, if Russ is playing defense, get us some easy buckets of transition, I think that'd be really, really good. We'll see what happens with the Lakers. Cam, I feel you. I know you're happy about it, but you don't want to get too excited. I understand that completely, bro. And then the other somewhat big news, Quinn Snyder, coach of the Utah Jazz, he quit. He was coach for 8 years. Basically stepped down. Surprised me. Definitely surprised me. If he left, I thought it was going to be because of a firing, because the Utah Jazz maybe felt like they had to switch some things up. Donovan Mitchell's now saying that it's left him, what's the word I was looking for? Confused, concerned, a little puzzled. I expect some major roster changes. I might be overthinking it. I might be looking too much into it. The Jazz are saying they're not answering phone calls about Donovan Mitchell. They did not say anything about Rudy, at least from what I can tell. So maybe Rudy's the piece they try to move. But I'll be honest with you, I don't think you're going to get anything crazy back for Rudy that's going to make you drastically better than what you've been with Rudy and Donovan. It might sound crazy, and somebody said it on my TikTok when I said basically blow him up and trade Donovan, that they're both young. Donovan's young. Yeah, I get that. Donovan is a young, talented player, so he could blossom into even more. So maybe that's what the Utah Jazz are banking on. But Donovan is also a young guy. He has his own signature shoe. He's like borderline superstar, but definitely a star in this league. He's a guy, if he wants to, he can force his way out and go play in a big market. So Utah, you're, to me, playing an iffy game. If you trade Rudy, I don't know what you're going to get back for him, but I don't think it's going to be enough to make Donovan happy, for real happy. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see him demand a trade or one out at the end of next season, depending on what you guys do in the playoffs. Jazz are in iffy waters. Quinn Snyder leaving, to me, made them in even more iffy waters, because now not only do they have to figure out what type of roster they want to build around Donovan Mitchell, they also have to find the right coach for it. Cam said I already learned my lesson from that last year. I feel you on that one, bro. But all right, man, nice little 40-minute episode, wrapped up all nice and neat. If you're rewatching this, you know what I mean, rewatch gang, I appreciate you. People in the live, I appreciate y'all for pulling up, especially right before a game, because that's why I didn't want to hold y'all long, because I don't want to be the reason anybody misses any part of the NBA Finals. But yeah, I'm happy with this episode. I got my notes off. I like the new setup. I'll see y'all next week. Stay tuned for the Q&A, maybe like Sunday or Monday. And if you don't know what the Q&A is, join the Discord. Let's Talk Hoops Discord. And I'll see you in the next one. Great to see you, bro. Thanks for pulling up, Cam. I'm out. Peace.